Best Bets show presented by BetRivers. We are the three-man weave. We're here to talk you through another slate of college basketball. Conference tournaments are happening. Heck, there's a game going on right now in the Sun Belt. Day ball, fantastic. Fellas, how we doing? Jim, takeaways from yesterday. You're still in lovely Circa in downtown Las Vegas. How you doing?
Yeah, we can't run over time here, Kai. I got a hard checkout at 11, need to be out of the room, need to be at the pool by 11:01.
Very important
stuff for me. Yep. Hey, takeaway, my running Rebs. They're not my running Rebs. I know the chat's going to critique me because I liked Wyoming yesterday. I'm jumping ship. The local boys, the Rebels, they've been excellent. They are a real threat in the Mountain West tournament. Kai, senior night last night. Bryce Hamilton losing on senior night. Come on. I was an idiot. I was wrong. What a dum-dum I was. All right, that's it. That's my takeaway, Matt. UNLV, what do you got?
The Bananas in Bojangles, baby. The Big South Conference tournament is taking the cake so far for the most wild, topsy-turvy. Who the hell knows? I just love it, Kai. The Campbell, who the hell? Presbyterian Matt or
Blue Hose
conclusion. The Blue Hose versus the Fighting Camels. Absolute treat in the late night slate last night. The Camels march on. Just a fun venue, fun games. Tune in, folks. Day ball, shirk at work. That's our recommendation.
Big South, 3 overtime games and another game that was a buzzer beater by Charleston Southern. It was an incredible day of basketball. That's conference tournaments, man. Even in the low conferences, the mid-majors, it's fantastic. That's why college basketball is the best sport on the entire planet. We have a pretty good slate today to talk through. Get your questions in the chat here for old Jimmy. And we'll start off in the Big Ten with Iowa at Michigan. And Matthew, Iowa is rolling right now. They've won 4 straight, 7 of their last 8, 5-3 against the spread in that span. And Michigan kept its tourney hopes alive with a nice Sparty win. Their metrics are very good right now. Can they nab another Q1 win here against Iowa? What says you?
Yeah, I think they get it done tonight. They got absolutely boat raced in the first meeting. I think we were all like, oh, this spread feels too high. And it's like, why are we fading Iowa at home? Iowa on the road, much more mortal, still very good, but much more human as opposed to the Titans destroyers that they are at Iowa City. Jim, it's been bet up to -2. I think Michigan's the right side here. I wouldn't take anything above -2, but this feels like, again, it's similar to that Ohio State, or so was the Purdue spot earlier this year coming off the loss. I think it plays like a pretty good home, hype home spot environment here.
Yeah, I have some nerves because the old road flip-flop, Matty. Michigan already won at Iowa. Maybe Iowa comes and exacts some revenge. Kai, if they do, Iowa could end the night as the highest-ranked Big Ten team at Ken Pom.
Wow.
Which I'm not sure anyone saw coming, us certainly included in that. They've been incredible. Keegan Murray's been awesome. That said, I do lean towards Michigan here. I think they have been playing better lately. I like that Martelli's in charge on the sideline. I think he's an excellent coach. No shade at Mr. Howard, but maybe it's a little shade, but Martelli's excellent. It's more about Martelli than anything else. And Dickinson has been phenomenal, and I don't think Iowa has guys to stop him unless they double team, and then hopefully Michigan's ball movement can take advantage. So Kai, leaning towards Michigan -2. My only hesitance is that road revenge angle for Iowa.
Yeah, and Iowa was uncharacteristically cold in that first matchup. They couldn't buy a bucket, but Dickinson had a great game. Diabate had 28 and 8. So I think you're right. There is no stopping either of those guys inside for Iowa. Do we care Patrick McCaffrey missed last game, guys? He's important, but they smoked Northwestern without him. Jim, thoughts?
Maybe a little bit. I like him. I think he's their best post-entry passer. He was great with Garza last year. Connor. Connor is the best post-entry passer.
Yeah. More scorer, Patrick. Yeah.
Connor's been knocking down threes like crazy. I believe he's like 7 for 9 in his last 4 games or something. I think that's a little bit of a fluke. Patrick matters a little bit, Kai, but they're pretty deep. So just more Ulis, more Perkins. I'm okay with that.
He's been playing hurt too. But yeah, when he's on, he lifts his team to a new level. I think both McCaffreys matter a lot, but you got to have one of them. And it seems like they have a healthier Connor at this point.
Yeah, I don't give Chrysler Center a whole lot of love, a whole lot of credit. Spread feels kind of right to me. I actually kind of lean towards Iowa as a dog. They just seem to have an extra gear right now that Michigan's thinking about getting back, but yeah, I guess I'm against the grain a little bit on the weave here. That's all right. That makes for a great show. Staying in the Big Ten, another big matchup here. Michigan State at Iowa State. Jim, Ohio State. Ohio State is weird. They beat Illinois on the road. Then they lose at Maryland and at home to Nebraska. But Sparty is back to its losing ways after beating Purdue. They're 2-6 straight up and against the spread in the last 8. What do you do with either team here, Jim?
Yeah, hard to figure. I mean, you guys know from behind the scenes that I almost went with Sparty as my best bet. Got a little bit spooked off. Ohio State didn't have Zed Key last game, and Kyle Young barely played because he went to the locker room and got sick and never came back. So that really hurts. I mean, that's like their 2 centers. That's it. They have no size to protect against a slashing Nebraska team. I think that was a problem for them. That's why I kind of lean towards Sparty here +6, Matt. If I think Key's probably still out, I'm estimating that Young will return. Hopefully the illness doesn't linger. And Michigan State has some defenders, some guys to throw at Branham, and plenty of bodies to throw at Liddell. We don't know which bodies they will use because it doesn't seem like Izzo knows on a day-to-day basis. But leaning towards Sparty there. Again, almost a best bet. So +6, I think, is decent.
I'm with you. I like Sparty a lot. So I'm getting my Michigan State's confused. I just said in the first game that Michigan got waxed by Iowa at home. It's like, no, they won at Iowa. It was Michigan State. They got waxed at Iowa. I think this is the right spot to back them though against a very gimpy Ohio State team. Chris Holtman he gave very exhausted vibes talking about his team's injury status, especially with Young and Zed Key up front. Both teams are playing their third game since the weekend. Both played Saturday, both playing Tuesday. So I think in just that tired, potentially late dog days of February situation, the edge goes to the healthier team, the deeper team, and right now I'd say that's Michigan State.
Yeah, health specific, or especially, Matt, Kyle Young is really important to Ohio State, and we saw that last year actually when this team was in better shape. Kyle Young matters. He's a glue guy, important on both ends. Super impressed by him at Illinois. But Malachi Branham's a superstar. EJ Liddell's a superstar. They have the 2 best players on the floor in this game. So if there's any getting back to form here, I think it's a good chance for them. I think the spread does feel a touch high, though, especially high. Jim, with you mentioning on Key and Young statuses. I would lean towards Michigan State on the number.
Oh, you're not against the weave anymore. Yay.
Not against the weave anymore.
Weave, unite.
This next game, I have a feeling many people feel similarly about this one. TCU is at Kansas, and I think everyone and their mother assumes that this is a Kansas slam dunk. TCU, Matt, obviously took care of business at home. They're 100% in the dance now. I think they're pretty much locked in. I can't see them caring too much about dropping one at Fog when they're a double-digit dog expected to lose. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Kansas smacks them. Problem is, it's been bet up. I think a lot of people are seeing the same angle here. Opened at -10.5, which feels pretty low. They just closed 6 at TCU, so only a 4-point flip, kind of a disrespect to the Fog Allen home court. But again, I think the market straightened that out to a more proper price at 12. If I'm trying to endorse Kansas to our viewers, I think first half might be the way to go. There's 6 at some shops right now. 12 does feel like a lot, Jim. And I think if you're going to get an awesome Kansas effort, it's going to be right out of the gate. And I think there might be a little bit of a first half blitz that we see from the Beakers at home.
Yeah, I'm going to just join the parade of Kansas love here. I think the spot is terrific for them. TCU off 2 big wins, Kansas off 2 losses. Back home to Fog. They're still in the Big 12 title race. They need the win to stay tied in the loss column with Baylor. There's a lot of angles that support KU here. We do like this TCU team. Just praised them on our own pod this morning, Kai. But I just think the spot sets up too well for Kansas, even though the number is fairly sizable. It would be Jayhawks are nothing for me. It's going to be nothing for me, but it would be Jayhawks if I had to bet it.
I agree. TCU's interior defense, fantastic in the first game. Held KU to 35% inside the arc. TCU's the best offensive rebound team in the country. They grabbed 45% of their misses against Kansas. Just a shocking, dominant performance. And Jim, I do think KU has a lot of motivation here. They're in danger of losing the Big 12. They're in danger of falling off that 1 seed line if they haven't already. I think they pop TCU back here. I'm one of those obvious folks that think Kansas gets it done and rolls at home here. Spread does feel high. I think Kansas for nothing is the right play.
Trade out your bucket hat for your spinny hat, man.
I got it right here. I might, but that's reserved for Saturdays. And we are very serious about our spinny hat Saturdays. Next game, Oregon at Washington. It's a Pac-12 matchup here. Oregon, Jim, is coming off a heartbreaker at home to USC. Drew Peterson cares not for the Ducks' tourney aspirations. They have 2 big road games, to close out the year in the Apple State. Can they start it off on the right foot tonight against the Huskies?
I think they should. Dana Altman has kind of owned Washington in recent years. I believe he's won like 7 in a row, maybe 9 of the last 10. I looked that up last night. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he has definitely owned them recently. He's also been great in March. Again, it should be Dana Altman's month, not Tom Izzo's month. That said, laying 4 on the road, always a little bit dicey. Look what happened to UConn last night, laying 4 on the road. But I like the Ducks. I think they start to trend up towards the Pac-12 tournament. Matthew, definitely in Oregon lean there.
Yeah, agree. I think it's a cheap price to lay. I'm not going to give Washington a ton of home credit, even though the Pac-12 is a conference where you should historically give more for home. It's just a Jekyll and Hyde team, Kai. You have to kind of pick your spots with Oregon, but this feels like the right spot given the desperation angle. Even I know we've talked about how that doesn't really matter, but just seems like you're more likely than not to get a good Oregon effort. And if you do, this price feels dirt cheap, doesn't it?
It feels pretty cheap. Yeah. Washington got Dejon Davis back. They're fighting for 500 in the Pac-12. I don't know if there's motivation there, but Oregon won by 28 in the first game. I think they're just probably a bad matchup for Washington. I probably correct some. They're shooting against Washington in the first game, but I lean Ducks in a much more meaningful game for them here.
I believe Dejon Davis got hurt again.
Did he get hurt again?
He only played 10 minutes and left that game with another boo-boo. So can't rely on him, I don't think. Again, there's another little edge to Oregon.
All of those little edges, Jim, they add up.
Increments.
The inches we need are everywhere.
They are indeed.
Hey, you're at the Washington 12-6 in conference against the spread. It just continues to surprise me.
Yeah.
Continues to surprise me.
They're a bit undervalued, I think, in the markets, which is surprising. But they've been a garbage pail last
just
couple
so
years.
Bad non-conference. I think it was, low platform to jump from.
Jim, hit us with round 1 of Chat Mob, please.
Would love to, Matt, kicking this to you because I know you agree with your boy Pat Taylor in the chat. Morehead State -8. His best bet is lock of the day over Tennessee Tech. Tell him why he's right.
Yeah, I got smashed up, man. I would like to endorse 7 a little more strongly, but I just think the matchup here is pretty cut and dry. It's basically a really athletic long team against a more athletic long team. When strength on strength collide, you take the more talented, the bigger beast in the battle, and that's Morehead. They swept in the regular season. I think that holds today, catching Tennessee Tech off that. The back-to-back they played yesterday, correct?
They were the late night game yesterday.
The late night game yesterday, so now a quick turnaround. Yep. Yeah. Like Morehead there. It's a big number though at 8. I'd like 7.
I'd like a lot of things.
I like pick. I'd like pick. I'd prefer
like
pick.
$1 million.
Yeah. Jimmy the bartender likes Oakland. He even said money line. They're on the road at Wright State. I don't know, man. Oakland's been pretty bad lately. I don't think that effort against
it's on the rundown, Jim. Actually, it's on the rundown.
Oh shoot, you're right. I was thinking a different Horizon game was there.
That's all right.
So that's on the rundown. Penn State, Illinois is on the rundown. There's been multiple questions about that. Cincinnati, SMU also on the rundown. So folks, we will hit some of these games. Kai, that means you get one from the Big West. Ryan N's best bet in the chat was Fullerton -2.5 hosting Riverside. Fullerton in that Big West title race. Do you think they get the W?
I think it's a fair line. I guess. Gosh, it depends your opinion on Fullerton. Are they still that dominant team they were earlier in conference play? I think they've fallen off a tad. I think Riverside's a really tough team for anybody, and they tend to thrive as a dog. I'd probably stay away, maybe a slightly into Fullerton, Jim, with the motivation of if they win, they could be Big West champions.
Fair. Matthew, this Horizon game is not on the outline. Your Bobby Morris Colonials got you an outright W.
Yes, sir.
Bet. They are now at Cleveland State. Does the mojo keep rolling for Bobby Mo?
-12. It's bet up a little bit. I don't think the price. I like a little bit higher price to back Bobby Mo, but I think it's the right side if you want to get involved here. Andrew Toole versus a Cleveland State team that I just don't trust to close out games. They can't make free throws. They tend to they can't blow you away. So yeah, I think it's a pretty feisty dog.
Cleveland State is a big favorite. That's a little dicey. Remember last year in the quarterfinals, they were the 1 seed and they went to triple overtime against an inferior opponent. So
yeah, I have some good data on Horizon road teams in this conference tournament. Let me pull it up. Continue down through the chat mob inquiries, but it's a little bit ominous for road teams.
Save it for the Oakland Wright State on the outline.
Yes, I shall.
Kai, I'm going to take this one from Michael Zhang. Okay. UCF at Tulane. He wonders if the wrong team's favored. I would say yes if Jalen Cook was playing, but as I think the chat established, likely out, maybe done for the season for Tulane. I was all ready to bet the Green Wave here, but he is mega important for them, more important than Mahan for UCF, who is out for them. So I think I agree with the steam. I'm not ready to lay 2 on the road, though. with this team. Kai, you get an A-Sun matchup from Monte S. Florida Gulf Coast and Bellarmine. What do you think? There's a major coaching edge here for the Knights, but talent athleticism edge for FGCU.
Yeah, I know. The coaching thing worries me. I kind of like Gulf Coast. My theory is they can do pretty well in this tournament because they are maybe the most talented team. They're up there, top 3 talented team in this conference with Jacksonville State and Liberty. So I think Tavion Dunn-Martin maybe plays a little superhero here, and Florida Gulf Coast gets it done.
I'm with you, Kai. I'm with you.
Thanks.
I'm sure. I'm on Bellarmine, guys. I think they just out execute Michael Fly to death. They beat him by 11 in the regular season. So, all right, Matthew from the MEAC, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, another one from Lante. I know you are very well versed in the MEAC. So, what do you got in this one?
It's been bet down -3.5. NC Central down to -1.5. Gut tells me you take our boy Mr. Modem here in the conference tournament here. I basically pick him. So
not the conference tournament.
That's conference tournament.
Oh, that's right. It's not. We're still or end of season here. Man, I have no idea. Why would you bet this game? There's other games to bet, kids. Stay away.
All right. Matt Archkai asking about Manhattan +10 hosting Iona, who has already clinched that 1 seed. They're maybe a little complacent last time out too. I sort of lean that way. Manhattan's a tough team to bet. What do you think?
No, I like Iona. I think any home court you're giving is foolish. I think Iona -10 is my preferred side. I'm staying away, Jim.
Okay. All right, Matthew, you get from Benny and the Jets one of the pillow fight games from Arch Madness. He likes Valpo -6. That he said that's his best bet. Do they blow out the Purple Aces of Evansville?
No, I took Evansville. Very small. I just think it's one of those where the line's a little bit too big for a team that's been horrid down the stretch. 6 in a neutral. These games are always pretty competitive. First round at Arch Madness, I would take the Purple Aces.
Do you care about Jawan Newton's status?
I should, but I think that's already been bet into the line up a point. So that's what I'm saying. At this point, I waited till it got bet up, then I hopped in. Another similar injury trend approach I took with Pepperdine coming up in the later section of the show.
All right, we're going to do 2 more, and one is going to be an on-the-fly best bet ad here. Get excited. Tim Kafer asked about American and Navy. I think somebody else asked about it too. Specifically the under. I'm in. Navy unders, yes. American unders, yes. I like it. Under 121.5, guys. Yep. I'm locking this in as a third best bet. Not actually pre-approved on the show, but I will be on this one. I think the under has been great with Navy. Their zone is going to slow the game down quite a bit. I don't trust Americans' offense at all. So, yeah, I'm in. Kai, before we go back to the outline, you're getting from Wonka Dog Temple at Houston. Can the Owls hang around? They did almost beat Houston in Philadelphia, lost by 5. Now they get 15.5 on the road. Is that too big?
I think it's a little too big. Yeah. I think Houston will be up 20, Jim, in the first 10 minutes, and then we'll see after that. I think Temple can probably come back, slide in that back door as they want to do, and as Houston likes to allow teams to do. So I lean towards the Owls.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, let's go back to the outline. We got a couple other questions, but I will continue to put them together for later.
All right, let's keep rolling with the Mountain West. Fresno State at San Diego State. Matt, the Aztecs off a super impressive win at Wyoming. They're in the field as of today. Fresno got back-to-back wins after 4 straight losses. Still a dangerous team, says I. San Diego State won the first game by, get this, 17 points in 55 possessions. That's hard to do. Who do you like in this game?
It's vintage Aztecs crockpot. They're like kind of the Virginia of the West Coast under Ryan Dutcher at this point. And it certainly is a matchup much like the Boise State matchup where it figures to play very slow, very ugly. So it makes me shy away from wanting to lay the points. It's been bet down to 7.5. I am a little bit tempted to back the Aztecs. If it came down to 7, Jim, I don't know. I'm pretty torn on this matchup. It just feels like an ugly, gross one. Total is 116. Yeah.
Yeah. My numbers made it 108, Matt. So I was like, man,
under.
Should probably bet the under. I'm backing off a little bit because of San Diego State's hot shooting last game. Bradley seems like he's really ascending up into that stardom role. He was terrific at Wyoming. So I would, if I had to bet anything here, it would be the under. I think it's going to be, like you said, Kai, 58 possessions last game. I could see it being right around there again. They played recently. So there's some of that recency, familiarity that could slow things down as well. Not willing to lay it with San Diego State, though. Just don't trust them as a big fave.
Man, their defense, though, they completely bottled up Fresno in the first game. Orlando Robinson, 9 points on 3 of 10 shooting. That's hard to make him do that. And San Diego State's defense, obviously number one in the country right now for Ken Palm, they're just clicking right now. Mensa is a great.
Mensa's awesome. Mensa's great.
He's been a man the last few games. I don't think there's any point in going against the defense right now. So I'd probably stay away. All right, next game. We're getting that Horizon matchup. This is a big one. Lots of chatter about it in the chat. Oakland at Wright State. This is at Wright State, Jim. This is at the Wright State's home floor.
Yep. The finals are still
the Nutter Center
games.
The spread does feel a bit high, but were you concerned with lingering injury issues for Oakland? And Jim, you mentioned they're struggling. 2-11 against the spread the last 13 games for Oakland. Wow.
Yeah, they've been really bad, taking some outright losses. You mentioned the injuries. Trey Townsend was a surprise. He surprisingly played against IUPUI. Jalen Moore's been dealing with his wrist thing. They had a nice lead against Wright State at Oakland late in the regular season, which would have meant they were hosting this game instead, but they blew it. Matt, I think Wright State has like the top 3 to match Oakland with Moore and with Jamal Cain. Maybe they don't have a great matchup for Cain. Nobody does in this conference, but I'm sort of leaning towards Wright State from a matchup perspective, which is against my number lean, which dictated Oakland. So I have that clash going on for me. What do you got on the Horizon home squads?
Yeah, I was going to say, I also was leaning Oakland on the number. I just feel a little bit high, but we should mention Jamal Cain got hurt last game. I don't know how serious it was. I think he's supposed to play today, but there was really nothing asked about in the post-game presser. I can't say on reporters don't ask questions about injuries that happened in the game. Like the NBA player who just got hurt. We're not going to follow up on that.
He played 38 minutes. I think he's fine.
It was a minor thing. He left and came back, and I think he'll be good. But still, that team, if he's out, I would be all over Wright State. Back to Jim's point, the data says that road teams in the last 5 years, conference tournament in the Horizon, 4-9 against the spread, not covering by 3.3 points a game. Small sample, I know, wow. But I do think the way it's set up, when you have to get pretty quick travel for teams, especially after that first win against a team that already has a bye, I think I would lean pretty heavily toward those home teams with the rest, the extra 2 days prepare. In this case, that would favor Wright State.
It's also worth noting Wright State swept Oakland in the season, and Oakland could not stop them. 1.26 and 1.19 points per possession. Oakland hit 15 threes in the first game, still lost. So this is probably just a bad matchup for Oakland. Wright State has their defense figured out. Over seems like a pretty good play if Jamal Cain is in. Neither team really can stop the other one. I think it's a bit too many points to lay here. Probably in Oakland on the number, but I think Wright State does get the win here.
Jets Pete notes in the chat that Dr. Bob gave out Wright State on Gil Alexander's show, and it's up to 5. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right side. If you cannot get away from IUPUI with 5 players, something's wrong with your team.
Right. And it wasn't the first sign of alarm for them.
Yeah.
Down the stretch run was so poor. To add that onto it was like, I don't know.
It's just stay away from me, man. Just so many. I think we just hit like every possible angle from both sides of that coin. Like, I think it's a fascinating handicap. I just wouldn't get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Joey in the chat, Home Field and 3M Weave do have a collaboration. We have shirts on Home Field for sale.
On Home Field today.
So you can buy 3M Weave gear on Home Field. Yeah, it's awesome. All right. Next game, Penn State at Illinois. We told you we're going to hit it, and we're going to hit this matchup, Matthew, this marquee matchup in State Farm Center. Illinois let that game get away from them against Ohio State last time they were at home. They followed up that game with an impressive win at Michigan. They can get a 2 seed in the Big Ten tourney, whereas Penn State just lost by 23 to Nebraska. Woof. Who do you like in this game? You're a big Shrewsbury guy. I know you are.
Yeah, Penn State on the road, catching points, just vintage Shrewsbury game where they can muck it up a little bit. But yeah, they're not all the way healthy either. I know Greg Lee's been a little bit banged up, and he absolutely matters in this game against Kofi. They really don't have, other than John Harrar, another kind of bouncer up front to impose some physicality against Kofi. And if you have to double inside against Illinois, that's when Plummer and Frazier and those shooters go absolutely gangbuster. I don't know, Jim. I think the price is about right. I was hoping to catch maybe an extra point or two with Penn State, given how much I respect Illinois. But I mean, I think the odds makers may be privy just to how good Shrewsbury been as a dog.
Yeah, they've been better at home, though. Penn State much
better home, definitely. Yeah.
So I was kind of leaning under. Penn State unders have been great. They control the tempo really well. Like, they get a defensive rebound or a steal, and the point guard gets the ball, looks over at Shrewsbury, and they start walking. Like, it's very clear. Like, the they need to slow the game down. I think they know there's a little bit of a talent gap. So I would definitely lean towards the under in that one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of questions about this in the chat. I think at least one, maybe two people at Illinois -12 is their best bet. Somebody else asked if it was way too high. So conflicting opinions on this game. I think we have a little bit conflicting within ourselves too, Kai.
Yeah, I think Illinois kind of stomps them. I think Coburn has no trouble with Harrer. I think Frazier locks down Sessoms. I think it's going to be a good old-fashioned Illinois rout tonight. Next game, Cincinnati at SMU. Well, Cincinnati's in a tailspin, folks. There's not a better way to put it. Jim, they've lost 4 in a row, 6 of the last 7, and they're 2-9 against the spread in their last 11. And SMU playing for the dance. Can they get it done here?
Definitely a bit of a fade going on for Cincinnati. However, I don't think they've quit or anything. The shot quality score in the Houston game was a lot more promising than the final tally would indicate. And they have owned Tim Jankovic, owned through multiple different coaches. SMU's lost 10 in a row to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has covered 7 of those games. Even earlier this year, Cincinnati won by 17. So maybe there is some revenge angle to it, but I just think this is too high for a team that they're laying 7 points to a team they haven't beaten since 2017. That's surprising to me. So leaning towards the Bearcats, sort of considered it for best bet, but got scared because of the SMU tournament angle. So that's where I stand on this one, Matthias.
I'm with you. I think it's a great bet, Jim. I considered adding it as best bet myself. Your boy Victor Locken returned last game, played a whopping 12 minutes, 4 points, 3 rebounds. The Locken monster. It's funny, he's kind of dominated Houston. Those have been his best games. They've coincided when he's been the most healthy. So when he is healthy, he can certainly dominate an SMU front line that basically is Tristan Clark on one knee. They've really adopted more like a small ball lineup. So I'd like to see Miller go a little bit of a kind of a chess match there. Go with some big bully size up front to force some pressure on a weak interior. Over probe that nitpick of a matchup, Kai. In general, I think the number's too high. That's the simple handicap for me.
Yeah, a bit too high. Since he won by 17 last game, SMU just couldn't score. Off shooting night, give credit since he's D. It just seems like the case, though, of one team is playing very poorly, Cincinnati, and another has major motivation in making the tournament. I think SMU is likely the side. I think it's too many points to lay, though. The number certainly leans towards Cincinnati. And Jim, that concludes our rundown. Let's go to the chat mob for round 2.
All right, we've got some questions that refer to games in our best bets. I'm going to holster those for now. That would be Pepperdine, San Diego, Detroit, Northern Kentucky. Those will be, we're waiting on those. Indiana State, Illinois State, also another best bet game. So that means, Kai, you're getting another one from the Big West from Matt Garola. UC Irvine at Cal Polytechnic Institute.
Wow.
What do you think? Does Irvine in a low total game, can they win by double digits on the road?
I think they can. I think they're starting to hit the right peak they need to be in for conference play. And Cal Poly, I love fading them. So I lean towards Irvine.
Love Irvine matchup wise. Agree.
Matthew from Wonka Dog. He's asking about Cal plus 7.5 on the road at Arizona State, who's kind of been a cover machine. The Sun Devils swept the mountain trip. We talk about how hard that was.
They're good.
We give Arizona the excuse for, mountain trip's tough. But meanwhile, Arizona State swept it. So the Sun Devils keep rolling.
I think they're trending in the right direction. I just don't like laying 7.5 with the Sun Devils. I think they're fun as a dog, fun as a back against the wall type of team, but no, not 7.5 laying at home, especially in a low total game. I guess it's been bet up to a little bit, opened at 124. Now it's up to 127. But no, stay away from me as much as I love my Sun Devils.
Kai, back to you for, again, one from the Big Sky, Matt Akers, Northern Arizona at Eastern Washington. Got to say, this line felt high to me, but Northern Arizona has had some struggles lately.
Yeah, I wouldn't take an AU. Excuse me, I wouldn't take an AU on the road. Not my favorite thing to do, Jim. And Eastern Washington, pretty confident. They've beaten some big teams, the Big Sky. I lean towards E-Wash.
Matthew, your boys in the horizon, Purdue, Fort Wayne, hosting Illinois, Chicago. USC just won at Milwaukee. Now they got their second road game in their swan song in the Horizon tournament here. You riding with your Mastodons?
No, it's too high. I really wanted to, but it's just too high. I know I just gave the whole point of how the home teams in this spot are a pretty good bet, but I think I'm not sure if the odds makers are adjusting for that. Probably not. I just think they're adjusting for the fact that IPFW has been awesome and Illinois Chicago has been nothing short of, I wouldn't say terrible, but definitely disappointing relative to our cool hand Luke Yaklich expectations. So stay away from me, Jim. Sorry, being boring today.
I'll do it. I'll say Illinois Chicago has been disappointing.
Yeah, I'm just too nice. I can't say bad things
They
about
have
people.
been.
Yeah. Kai Benny, 1 of 1, says we should smash Marist -2. Do you agree that the Red Foxes are a great bet?
I lean towards Marist. Yeah. Again, I like road teams in the MAC. I think they play very well. The Metro Atlantic, that is, Jim. So yeah, I lean towards Marist.
I would too. I'm with
Yeah. Yep. From Harry R. 2-pack. Matt, Big Sky, Southern Utah headed to Idaho State. I thought this total was low, by the way. Southern Utah up and down. Idaho State's been playing a little faster lately. What do you think in this game?
I like Southern Utah. I do. I know Idaho State's been playing better. And Big Sky, we have to respect home court in that conference. But I think coming off the loss, I think they smacked today. So go Thunderbirds.
Kai from Harry R. Also, Florida Atlantic at FIU, the rivalry down there in South Florida. What do you think of that one?
I'm looking for an updated start. Okay, 5 points. I lean towards FAU. Way better team. I don't think there's a whole lot of travel. Matt, you got to check me on my Boca Raton.
45 minutes away.
Orlando. Travel there. I lean towards FAU.
Right?
I have not been impressed by FIU this year. Thank you, Matthew. FAU.
All right, Matt. That means you get your bows. Hawaii. They're headed to the mainland to take on UC Santa Barbara, who they skated by on the island thanks to a Najare Sani injury. There was
very lucky.
Weave versus weave bet going on in that one. I'm still bitter about the Gauchos going down. What do you think happens here in the rematch?
I'm tempted to take Hawaii as a dog, but man, they're on their last leg. They're without Coleman. I think Hepa could be dicey for this game, and it's not really a deep team to begin with. So I would be hesitant to back my bows, even though I've been sort of consensus, universally backing them the last few weeks.
I'm sure I'm missing a question or two because of all the beefing that's going on in our chat. My goodness, some hostilities back and forth.
Yeah, it's one guy doesn't understand lines, Jim. There's no beefing.
Nope, he doesn't at all, to be quite honest.
We'll teach him someday.
Matt from Air Corner. This is the other. I know you have a best bet in one of the WCC games, but you get Loyola Marymount and Pacific here. Sounds like Leo Pepe is going to be out for LMU. Does that change the handicap for you?
It's been bet up a point too to -6. I'm tempted to back Pacific here. This feels like the wrong time to fade LMU. Like you basically had a month and a half to do it. Like this feels like the game they probably play closer to their talent level.
The reset button
thing, but no, it's too high. I kind of like Pacific here.
Yeah, I lean towards Pacific as well. Kai from the MEAC, Morgan State and Coppin State from Avery Smith. Man, Morgan State's playing a little better. They're healthier right now, and Coppin did not have Zarzuela or Corbett last game. So I'm leaning towards the Bears. Am I crazy?
Yeah. No, I lean towards the Bears too, Jim. I have not been on the right side of Morgan State bet all season, so I've been kind of staying away from them as a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Morgan State if both those guys are out, but I have to wait and see on Zarzuela and Corbett because they're both very important for Coppin. All right, couple more here before we get to best bets. Matt, UC San Diego at Cal Bakersfield from Ryan N in the chat. I don't have much of a take on this game. My number surprisingly popped as like an over game. Bakersfield hasn't defended as well as I thought lately, but what do you think here?
Very torn. I kind of lean Bakersfield, to be honest. I hate backing that team under any circumstance. I hate it. Just the like when you watch that team play, no team makes you more angry. Just the shots they take, the inability to make jump shots is pretty simple.
They don't. Horrid. Yeah, they're like dead last or second last in 3-point attempt rate, and second or like fifth last in assist rate.
It's like a mid-range jump shooting contest.
No ball movement. Yeah, it's painful to watch. All right, Kai. Last one before we hit best bets from Goody Pines. Arizona at Stanford. A typically high Arizona line here, or maybe is this? I think Arizona's hosting. I might have the wrong location there.
Stanford is at Arizona, 18.5. Yeah, it's a big spread.
Typically high line there. What do you think in this one?
It's a lot of points. I'd probably lean towards Stanford. Arizona's got the conference wrapped up. I love Arizona, but 18.5 is quite a bit to lay.
Okay, I did miss a couple and people reminded me, so I appreciate it. Matt, the Paris, your Beach Boys, do they get a big win tonight? They're in that Big West race with Fullerton.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit high. I'll be honest. I think UC Davis defends at a very high level, and I feel like that's a dog I want to back in a good spot. But you're right, Beach is motivated, and they're also healthier too. They've been playing a little bit banged up, still racking up wins. I got a couple of key guys back last game. Now's probably not the time to fade them. So another boring fence riding. Stay away from Matthew.
Kai in the Sun Belt, Jimmy the bartender, making sure we hit Georgia Southern taking on Coastal Carolina.
I have a take here.
Well, I'm going to say mine.
So do I.
Wow, we all do. Great. I don't have a lot of love for this matchup for Georgia Southern. Them against a bunch of changing zones spooks me a little bit.
I thought it was too high. I lean toward Georgia Southern, but Matt, they suck. You got to remember that they're not very good.
They suck. I'm not going to say they suck. I don't think they suck.
I looked back. They're not. They kind of suck.
They kind of suck.
Yeah.
Do they suck? Okay, I'm turning a blind eye to Kai and Jim's logic there. I am on Georgia Southern. It's one of my favorite bets of the day. I think the line's too high. Very simple handicap for me.
All right. Okay, I believe that's everything. Apologies to the chat if I missed one, but hey, we're trying. Hey, good like count so far. Scott H says we are at 69. That's a bingo.
Ooh, yeah, you can stop.
Yeah, no more likes. All right, let's go to best bets. Matthias, let the people know where you're at tonight.
I'm getting wavy. I know there's been injury news for Pepperdine and San Diego, but we have some good inside scoop, some sources that have confirmed who's in and who's out. I believe some folks who bet on San Diego probably have that information as well. Opened at 4. Now it's up to 6. I'm on the waves at +6. They're getting Jane Sadek back in a limited capacity today.
Jan Zadek.
Jane. Starting at Jane.
Yikes.
Who's the other guy that's back for Pepperdine today too? I'm blanking on names. Jade Smith, Jan Zadek. Jade Smith, Jan Zadek.
Matt just blew Jan Zadek. I don't think he's going to get Keo Derici Akabundu Ehiogu.
Yeah, sorry, Ross. You're going to have to wait like a week. I need to recollect my brain cells for that one. It's just too high. Hey, by the way, Pepperdine's been awesome in the conference tournament against the spread the last X number of seasons under Romar. It's not like it's just a team that underachieves. And then I think they have talent. And when they're excited and they're motivated, they can play pretty well. So,
hey, they covered against Gonzaga. So
they did. Kai. Oh, whoo. How about that?
I numbers a little high. I don't think you can cite historical stats for Rome. This is unprecedented Romar team. They're so young. They have Colby Ross and Edwards in the past. Yeah, but I like your side. I lean your side.
I have a second best bet. I almost forgot about it. I just wasn't super excited to share it because it's not a very good team. But in the spirit of taking bad dogs in conference tournaments, I will keep that train rolling with Tiny Rock, as we call them. I listened to the entire 20-minute Darrell Walker radio show, oozing with optimism. Mr. McKeon about this squad heading into the conference tournament, says this is a categorically more together group than last season. Marriage is back and healthy.
The
6 days off to prepare.
Tweets are so great.
Yeah, we don't have a guy that ruined our team this year. And South Alabama's like beat to crap with injuries too. So it's not a favorite that's going to, I think, have the juice to run away with it. Kind of like the fate of Oakland with IUPUI. So that's my parallel there. Little Rock and Pepperdine. Go Dogs.
Here's the one thing I'll say for Little Rock is there's the like Alshon Evans has like a lawsuit against him or something for his treatment of him. So maybe it wasn't all Noel. Maybe Walker has some issues managing a locker room. That's the one thing I will say. I want to make sure we get both sides of the argument.
That's fair.
I think that spreads way too high, Matt, as well. So go Little Rock.
With Marich back, they're a completely different team.
Jim, your best bet?
Best bets. Yes, I had Navy and American under 121.5 earlier. I'm also riding with Detroit +3.5. This is against some chat mobbers that are on Northern Kentucky. Matt, you mentioned road teams not great in this event. You know what? Screw it. I'm ignoring it. I'm going with the Titans. Antoine Davis, best player on the floor. The team shoots a ton of threes and they make a ton of threes. I think that's great against the Northern Kentucky zone. They beat them fairly comfortably twice this season. I think they get a third win over the Norse. So Detroit +3.5. Last one, North Texas, UTSA under 123. Slow game. UTSA plays a lot slower offensively than you think based on their tempo, and North Texas will turn it into a grind. So those are my 3 today, Kai. All 3 best bets.
Man, Jim, you're doing great work over there. My best bet, guys, is Indiana State +1 against Illinois State. They have not looked very good this season, Matt. They've been disappointing, but in a tournament setting, this offense can be very good. They have a lot of talented guards. I love that in a tourney setting. I don't think Illinois State is as good as it's been playing recently. These teams split the regular season. Illinois State just beat them by like 20 at Illinois State. On a neutral floor, I think it's different. I think Indiana State has value here at +1, basically saying who wins. And I think that's the Sycamores tonight. +1, Indiana State.
Go 6.
Come on, 6.
Go 6.
This needs to be the reset button for them. I saw Tyree Keys like already going to transfer. I wonder if there are locker room issues, but this is their time. Postseason. Come on.
That does it for our show. Hey, a little news here. Next week, guys, our daily show, Monday through Friday, will be coming to you earlier to account for the earlier tip times in conference tournaments. So 10 a.m. Central next week, But tomorrow we are off. No show tomorrow, guys. We're back on Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Central. Can't wait to see you all then. Good luck with your bets today and tonight.